Hey guys, welcome to Beyond the Books, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of accountingdepartment.com. I'm your host, Andrea Boccard. Um, Join us. We're going to dive into lessons from the trenches to help entrepreneurs like you grow from building a strong company culture to implementing EOS, mastering leadership. We cover it all, and we are not afraid to share our stories with you. Each episode is going to feature insights from our leadership team, industry experts, key figures within our company. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur looking for tips or you're just starting out and looking for it all, we're really here to offer you advice and inspiration and share with you what we have done. So today, please help me welcome Amy Harold. Amy is our Director of Training and Operations here. She sits in that seat on our leadership team, which is EOS speak for all of you. And actually, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So to sort of get everybody on the same page, EOS is something that's near and dear to our hearts. We have been running on EOS in varying degrees, which I'm sure we will get into. But we've been doing it for many years now, more successfully as of late. And we've been through all the implementation and all of those things. And Amy is joining us because I think, it's my opinion, Amy really embodies and understands the importance of EOS at accountingdepartment.com better than anybody else. So,
You.
well, thank you. So Amy's been tasked with a lot of things when it comes to EOS here, including making sure the rest of the company loves it as much as she does. So Amy, let's just jump in. We just got back from EOS 2024 a few weeks ago. You and I were there as attendees and as sponsors, which we can also talk about, but tell me your thoughts. How did you like it?
Oh, it was great. This was my first conference, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I was blown away. I loved the energy. All the speakers and the sessions were great. I learned so much about EOS, about leadership, about personal development. It's just overwhelmingly a fantastic experience. We had a great time.
We really did. So, I thought it was a lot of fun to go there because, I don't always get to go as an attendee. Usually we're
Same.
sponsors, and we've been sponsors of EOS for a few years now. The reason we sponsor is not all that dissimilar from the reason we're so successful on EOS. EOS speaks to the way our company is set up. It speaks to the way we service clients as well. And it was they actually kind of happened at the same time. So I know
Mhm.
you were there for day one with implementing EOS. Um, Talk to me. What did you think when we first said, "Hey, read this book"?
Well, I'm already an avid reader of books like this, both personally and professionally. So I am always looking for that next thing to kind of take me to that next level, to inspire me, to keep me motivated. And so right away when I read the very first EOS book, it spoke to me in a positive way. And it just felt like a personal fit right away. And it felt like a good fit for accountingdepartment.com right away.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I think in some ways our company was already kind of set up for it. Well, there's a few things I think that are natural fits to that structure where we had already sort of defined seats in a way loosely.
Yeah.
Um, so when we started on this, I think we all kind of were like, oh yeah, sure, okay, so we'll just run on this. But that's not how it went. I mean,
Right.
not even remotely. Um, so when we first sat down to talk about rocks or boulders or whatever we were about to
Hmm.
embark on, we hit a lot of road bumps.
Yeah.
So, talk share with everybody what your first experience was like watching us as a team come together and kind of try to figure out how are we doing EOS as leaders.
Well, to start, I mean, it was exciting, but I mean, we obviously didn't do it right the first time, and we learned a lot. But we didn't get it right the first time, and I love that. I kind of love that we had that experience because it's kind of part of EOS. Like you don't give up, you don't quit, you try something, it doesn't go right, you recalibrate and you just move forward and figure out, okay, we still want to do this, but what do we need to do different? And I think right away, it got us more together as a team. It got us thinking in the right direction. But we stumbled a little bit in the beginning, and that's okay. And I'm actually really proud of us as a company that we didn't give up and that we didn't trash the whole thing just because it didn't work right the first time. And we looked for another resource, and we said, okay, we like this. We really want to commit to this. We're going to invest in it, and we're going to go all in, and we did. And the payoff has just been it's been amazing, and it's been great for everybody, I think.
So I would venture right now, there's people listening that want to know two things. One, what did we mess up? Because I guarantee they're like, well, how badly did they mess up? And two, because this was really important, and I don't want this to kind of be forgotten. We told the whole company about this and then really messed up. And that was like
Yep.
a big, let's eat a lot of crow right now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, and for people who are not that familiar with our company, we do not like to roll things out unless we are ready. Like we really don't even roll out like general ideas because we're like, let's not set everybody in motion until we know exactly how this is going to work. And we've set up the guidelines and we've set up the this. But we went out and we told everybody we're running on EOS and this is what we're going to do. And then
Yeah.
we hold on.
Hold on. But you know
So
what, Andrea? I
yeah,
think that is what held us back for so many years, is that we wouldn't pull the trigger until we were 1,000% sure that it was 100% ready. And we had so many great ideas that we never actually got to implement because we weren't brave enough to say, you know what, we're just going to go for it. It won't be perfect. And we'll course correct when we need to. And I think it held us back before because we took too long to do things.
I agree. And one of the biggest takeaways that I think probably, I'm not even sure EOS would like immediately be like, yeah, that's because of us, but maybe they should really embrace this. The biggest takeaway I think that we learned was like being cool with making mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, because we used to never, and I think that's like natural in accounting
Mhm.
because you don't want to present, you never want to present a client with anything that has
Well,
an error
yeah,
in it,
there's
you know.
accounting mistakes aren't okay,
Yeah,
right? Like that's the
it's
nature
black
of
and
what
white.
we do,
Yeah, it's
right?
black and white,
Has to be perfect. I think EOS would support that, and I think our coach supports that and has really had to work with our team because, I mean, it's like an ongoing joke that we are a bunch of perfectionists. We want everything perfect. If it's not 100%, it's a failure. And I mean, that has been one of the things that we have really had to work on is that even if it's not 100%, 80% is still progress. We are still moving in the right direction. It's not going to be perfect every time. And so I think if anything, EOS has helped us not be held back by perfectionism.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And like, listen, me in my own capacity is like a bull in a china shop when I come to that because I'm always like, yes, just to go, everybody go, and all the accounts in the room are going, somebody get her out of here.
Slow
Not
down for
working.
us.
Yeah, slow down. But you know what was funny? I look back at those first few months when we sat down and we made like our first rocks and we made our first VTO. And I remember looking back like later at it and being like, none of these were company priorities. Like we were like making rocks for the sake of making rocks. And there
Right,
was that sort of like watershed moment later that we were like, whoa, this is supposed to align with company goals, not just
right.
like, let's come up with work so that we said we had a rock and did a rock. And that I think was like a big transformational shift for us.
Hmm.
But in those first few months, we were like, well, what rock should we give to every single person in the company?
Right, right. Like we started way backwards. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something that I could say we fumbled in the beginning. So we started kind of in the middle, I think, we dove into creating goals and rocks. We did not have a well-defined, and we hadn't rolled out those important, the vision, the 3-year picture, the 10-year target, the 1-year plan, and those things, really investing in getting those things right and getting buy-in at the leadership level and everybody being on the same page about that on the leadership level was so important for us the second time around because then our rocks came naturally, they made sense. We were very precise in what we needed to accomplish and when we needed to accomplish it. And so, yeah, I think we kind of started
Yeah, we jumped
in
right
the wrong
into the day
place.
to day.
Yeah.
It was
We're
like
like,
make
oh,
a
well, this
scorecard
sounds
and
easy.
come up
We'll
with
do this
rocks.
part.
yeah, we'll come up with 90-day projects. It'll be great. And then we'll check them off and we'll just keep going. That'll be
And we're all
fantastic.
going in different directions,
Yeah.
right?
And then we're
Like,
meeting up going, just thumbs up it. Just thumbs up
yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
looking back at that, like whatever that was a few years ago. I'm like actually kind of in awe that we survived.
Right.
And we didn't all look at each other going, what are we doing? Yeah, so it's funny because that I think is probably the part we should really focus on. What we went through to get the fundamentals down. I mean, first we had to agree that we all screwed up so badly and needed to just
Yeah,
restart.
yeah.
Then we had to go find a new implementer,
Hmm.
which we did, and we will
And we
share
hit
her
the
name
jackpot.
later because people can't even believe that she's our implementer. And then we had to tell the whole company, hold on, we didn't do this right. We're actually just forget everything we told you.
Yes, we're
We'll
just
come
kidding.
back.
Start
Yeah,
over.
yeah. And I mean, I think that was like I think we spent 3 meetings trying to figure out, well, when do we tell them that we're not doing
Right.
we didn't
That
do
we're
this.
starting over. Yeah, that forget everything we told you.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're still kind of in the middle of that, and we have to keep repeating ourselves. Like the mistake we made in the beginning was trying to roll it out to the entire company too fast. And needing to start at the very top at the leadership level and spending as much time as we needed to perfect that level before we went into the next level. And depending on the size of your company, it can take a long time. It can take like 2 years to get down to the rest of your company. And everyone sees our excitement and they hear us using all these terms and they keep asking like, well, when are we going to get there? And we have to just keep telling them like, I promise we will it will get rolled out to everybody, but we are committed to doing it right. And that takes time. It takes a lot of patience to not like rush through it. And just so people are like, you get everybody on it and you can call it done. You have to
Right.
really be patient.
So you definitely have far more exposure to the rest of the company's feedback on this than I do due to your role here. Do you get a lot of feedback from people like asking, one, when am I going to get this? Or two, like, what was the frustration like? Or has there been frustration from people, especially when we pivoted?
Um, I didn't feel a lot of frustration when we pivoted. I got a lot of feedback that I think people were confused too about what we were doing. And so I don't think I got a lot of negative feedback about that. I have just, I was lucky that I managed some smaller teams, so it was easier for me to kind of get some traction with my smaller teams faster, which is just, I think, one of the reasons I've been able to embrace EOS and get so excited about it because I've been able to get through certain teams with it. And it's funny because like it was exciting for us to get through it as a leadership team, but seeing the like aha moments and the excitement and the energy building on my teams now, and seeing and I've done it with the training team and I've been working now with the supervisor team and I'm starting with a new team. And like they are really into it. And at the end of that first 90 days, and we have that rock meeting and they're celebrating all that they accomplished. And for the training team, at the end of the first year, when we counted how many rocks we completed as a team, I mean, the energy is just amazing.
Yes.
So it's fun.
It's
It's
super
so fun.
empowering too. Like,
Yes.
I've seen every member of my team find themselves in EOS and find
Yes.
their impact and their contributions and
Mhm.
really like their importance in the department so much clearer and so much
Yes.
more directly. And then also really kind of like I've seen people absolutely blossom into roles
Mhm.
because they understand what they're responsible for and they just feel so empowered to go out and like crush it. And I mean, I know we will cover the right people, right seats, but it has really
Yeah.
been such a great way to sort of like put a perfectly clear lens over everything and go, yes, you are in the right seat because look at how well
Mhm.
you're doing with this structure in place. But
Yeah.
before we got there, we had to get through our leadership team.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably a great place for us to go right now because I have a feeling that there are a lot of people who maybe haven't been through yet, but will, or are maybe in the thick of it, or maybe terrified of it, going
Mhm.
through the fun friction that we went through as a leadership team to get to where we are today.
Mhm.
And that was part of, after that was post failure. Post EOS
Right.
failure, phase one
Right.
came, what do we want to call it? The awakening. It's like a movie.
Yeah, I like it.
The awakening occurred.
Yes.
The awakening with our new implementer, who should we tell them
I
who we
think we should.
all right.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are in the know in EOS, our implementer is Jill Young, who is like the implementer of implementers, and she's fantastic. She's also very intimidating, but we love you, Jill. But she gets it done, and nobody can believe that
Mhm.
she's ours because apparently she's really hard to get, which makes me feel really special. But Jill came in to our team going, we're going to change all of this. And that
Mhm.
was like crazy. And, I think that, you and I both sit on the leadership team. So we spent a lot of time together. And I would say those first few days were really hard.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, let's talk
They
about
were
it.
tough.
We had tears, we had yelling,
Mhm.
we had people
Yeah.
getting off camera. Like things got raw. And I think even the
Yeah.
company would probably be like, to hear all of that. But I think it's important that we acknowledge and give space to that.
Right.
We are here because we were there.
Right.
So you had a front row seat to a lot of this.
Mhm.
Give me your impressions of how our initial vision building went.
So this is where I really geek out because I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown, Adam Grant, Simon Sinek. I've read all their books. I follow them their podcast. Like so getting the team together and getting vulnerable, I was like, oh yeah, this is my space. Like I love it. And I believe in it. I believe in the power of vulnerability and the power of honesty and transparency. And but anytime you bring a team together, you have to build that trust. You have to build the container of safety with each other, and it can be painful. It can be painful, and it was definitely uncomfortable at times. But I so when I was younger, I had a real trouble being assertive, being authoritative, speaking my opinions, being vulnerable, those types of things. And as I've gotten older and I've worked really hard at it, I've seen the benefits of being able to do those things. And so I knew that if we could get past that hurdle with one another, we were going to be closer than ever, and there was be nothing that could disrupt this team, and we would be able to lead the company through the rest of this.
Yeah. And I think, listen, those there were many, I can't even count the number of days we spent together building a lot of the things we did, but what
Yeah.
came out of it was our core focus, our core niche, our target market, like all of those fundamental building blocks that created the lens through which we make
Mhm.
decisions now, and we make them clearly, and we make them
Yep.
with a single sort of shared direction, which I think is crazy.
And
And
fast. How
yeah,
fast are we now
it's
with this
amazing how
lens?
we're like, well, is this the right thing to do? Well, then
Mhm.
yes, we will do it. Like, because we said we do the right thing. Therefore, if this
Yeah,
is the right thing
right.
to do, then we will do it. And it's so crazy to me. But it was funny because, when you look back at those first few days, I remember distinctly the very first day, it was like, now I gotta count, 7 individuals sitting at a table, all with their own opinions, and nobody was really
Mhm.
hearing the other one. Like, we were listening and waiting for a pause so somebody else could speak.
Right.
And it was as if we were each sort of getting up on our platform and just saying, well, these are the things I think, and just
Mhm.
throwing it out there. And maybe one person would eventually hear somebody and sort of say, yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I think this now. And,
Mhm.
and then we would all just look at Jill like, well, pick one.
Now what do we do?
And like, who
Yeah.
won?
Pick a winner.
Yeah, exactly. It became like a who won situation. Like, who's
Yeah.
and that's where it's so funny that looking back at that that we managed to get where we are now, which is so much more like listening to actually hear somebody,
Mhm.
and listening not only to hear them but to understand where they're coming from, to understand it in the greater context, to then sort of see it through the lens of things, and to offer like legitimate responses and build on each other. It's as if
Mhm.
we were having 7 conversations in the first day and now we have one conversation. um
Yes.
it's
And
crazy.
I think something else that I've seen happen and something that held back the company in previous years is, Dennis and Bill they've always valued people's opinions, and they've always wanted to hear everyone's viewpoint, and they wanted to try to make everybody happy. And that's fantastic in theory, but we could never accomplish anything, or
Yeah.
we would make decisions that were too scattered. Like we would try to accommodate everybody.
Hmm.
And now with the EOS structure, we will all get on our podiums and we will speak what our idea. But at the end of the day, if there's a disagreement about what we should do, Dennis, as the integrator, is going to make the call.
Hmm.
And I love it when Jill stops us and says, okay, everybody has said their piece. Dennis, what do you want to do? I love that because I think we were really God, the sun is really sorry. I think we were really missing that before. And now we each say our piece. Dennis, what you're the integrator, you make the call, Dennis makes the call, and then nobody on the team is mad. Like nobody
Yeah.
says, well, I didn't get my way, or, we all look at each other and we made this commitment to each other during vision building, and we all look at each other and we say, okay, that's this decision. And that's the way we go. And so that's where that speed picks up. We don't
Yes.
waste time,
Yes.
and we don't have resentment. We
I
don't,
agree with
sometimes
you.
we win, sometimes we don't win.
I agree
Um,
with you because I do think that, I've always loved that about EDC. It's is as flat as it can be. I know on my team, I know you do the same on your team. Everybody come with ideas. I don't want to
mhm,
be the person just coming up with ideas and telling people what to do. I want everybody coming to the table. But at the end of the day, sometimes that can get skewed. And you can get to a point where you're never doing anything because, well, I have to listen to everybody and I have to hear every single person. And then everybody's voice matters and you're like, yeah, but somebody, what if they don't agree? Like, what do you
right,
do then? And so
right.
it's funny because it seems so simple, but we
Hmm.
didn't have that. It's almost as if we never told ourselves that we could finally just choose. And
Hmm.
we felt like we had this obligation to just always be as fair as possible. But like, not for nothing, for those of us who are parents, which is most of us, we all know eventually you have to choose. Like,
Yeah, you have to make a decision.
yeah, they're not always the same. So
Yeah.
like, it's funny because when you get to that point and you're like, oh, okay, so that was easy. And then there was that other component where, and I think that the first day that we agreed, when we make a decision, we all then support it, and that's it. It doesn't matter if you backed orange. Once we choose blue,
Mhm.
everybody chooses blue. I think it took us some time, that trust had to build for us
Oh
to really
yeah.
get that, because
Yeah.
there were times when we would come back and go, I still really feel like blue needs to be heard. And you're like,
All right.
we agreed, it's
We
orange.
agreed. Yeah.
I think now that that has happened, and I think that's very natural. And I think if somebody's in the beginning of EOS and they're still having these fights and people aren't on the same page, it's really important to hear that you'll get there.
Yeah.
Because I think in the middle of the beginning, I'm not sure I believed we were going to get there. I was like, this is exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't sit through another
Right.
full day of arguing and deciding and just so many things. I mean, let's talk core values.
I was gonna
Because
say, do you remember the day it clicked? We're both thinking the
yes,
same thing. We're both
yes,
thinking of the core values day,
yes, that was,
the
well, that
day
was
it
the day it
clicked.
clicked. And core values wasn't just one day. Core values is
No,
multiple days, but
like
that day
three
it
days.
clicked. Yes, that day it clicked, and suddenly grit came out.
Yes.
It was like the whole world changed.
Yep.
But
And we all were just immediately on the same page. There was so much energy behind it. I will never forget the day that day.
we all just, and everybody just started building on top of each other. And it was like,
Yes.
you could feel like, ah,
And what
like,
was so funny is we literally spent 3 days going back and forth around about this. And then we had one call, and in 15 minutes we were done. Like
yep.
it just
It just
happened.
it just clicked. But it's funny, I think core values is actually, it makes so much sense to me that it was on core values that this all occurred on, because like every other company, we came to the table with a bunch of words that we decided captured who we were. We were professionals, we were efficient.
Right.
We were, I don't even remember some of them because they
Mhm.
were whatever. And we sat there looking at they remind me of 1980s posters like aspire,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like that
yeah,
kind of
which I
stuff.
think is that's the big core value, like stumbling block for most companies.
Yeah,
not being
everyone's
aspirational, inspirational, like defining who you already are.
exactly. I mean, how crazy was that exercise to go from, well, yeah, so we, family first, I think was my favorite one. That
Mhm.
was the best debate I think we've ever had because it was, for those who are listening who are not familiar with us, family first is something we truly embody, and there's so many reasons behind it.
Keep going on
Having,
commercial
yeah,
lines.
having even just a lot of people in the company who have special needs at home or who have unique family structures or who way before COVID, a lot of people were attracted to working here because they needed a remote work environment for one reason or another. I know for me, it was just not working in the city anymore and being able to actually try to have the best of both worlds and all of that. But family first is something we've embodied from day one, partly due to our co-founders and their
Right.
really support of it. But it was funny when we sat down and we tried to explain what family first meant, and we really stumbled because we did. I mean, because you came to the point where like, well, what about people in the company who don't have families? And you're like, but we still support them. So what does that mean? Oh,
And,
well,
and we were like, well, did we put
first.
like families and friends, families and pets,
Yeah.
and we care about yourself, we care about you too as a person, and
Yeah,
like,
we really like if you're sick, we care about you. We started trying
right.
to explain all these things. And I remember when we finally went, hold on. Like, listen, the whole point is that as a family and in our family, this family that we're living in right here, because God knows we spend a lot of time together,
Yeah,
it's um
sometimes more than with my own family. So we
yes.
better,
So in our
yeah, we got to get it
ADC
right.
family, caring about all of the individuals that make it up means caring about you personally. And caring personally is one of the fundamental building blocks of a truly healthy company. Yeah, I mean, listen, Kim Scott, what does she talk about constantly?
Yeah,
Caring personally and telling everybody very clearly, but caring personally is such a unique component of that. So that, it's funny because we never ended up changing those words family first, but they now that they've been defined so much more like specifically to what it
hmm,
applies to the ADC family, it makes so much more sense.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's such an important part of what we did with our EOS time. That our core focus.
mhm,
I mean, let's talk about doing the right thing. How did we get there?
right. I think it took us a long time to find the right words because we just want to complicate everything, right? And we want to cover all the bases, and we wanted to, I think we had something really long to
Mhm.
start
Well,
out
we kept
with.
having that struggle between employee and client. You know,
Right.
do we
Yes, do
prioritize our
we?
employees
Yes,
first? Do we
that's right.
prioritize our clients first? And then when we started to nail it down, we're like, well, if the client is we just kept saying this is how we got to it. And I think that listening part is important. Well, if the client's doing the wrong thing and the employee's doing everything right, we have to side with the employee. That's important. You can't just side with the client no matter what. Well, what if the employee's not doing the right thing? And we kept going, well,
Right.
it's based on who's okay, wait, we just do the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. Because we were so torn. Like we would say one thing and it was too client centric, and we would say something else and it was too employee centric, and we were like, we have to represent both sides because that's what we
Because
do.
that's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, we're two halves of a whole. So when we said we do the right thing, again, it just was like,
It's like
of
my
course,
favorite
how did it
thing.
take us so long? Mine
Got
too. I
my
have my
water
sticker. Yes,
bottle.
it's my favorite thing too. Is my favorite thing. And it's so funny because as much time as we spent talking through all these things, when we landed on them, they were so simple, which is what Jill kept pushing us for, right? And um, which is one of the things, making things simple is one of the things I love about EOS. And then when we finally landed on them, it was just so obvious. But it took us having those conversations to really understand what they meant. And that was important because when we rolled it out to the staff, it could not be our core values are grit, gratitude, resilience, integrity, teamwork, and above all, family first. And we do the right thing. The end. Like that
Right.
wasn't what that
No,
isn't how
we had
you
to
present
believe
that.
them. You had to feel
Right.
it. And I think, listen, for those who haven't been on a staff call with Amy, you should know the reason why Amy was picked for this podcast is there is nobody who feels EOS better than Amy. But let's talk, but the truth is you really do embody EOS. And when you convey this to the staff, and I've had my share of things to convey, mostly on the marketing side of things, but when you convey this to the staff, it really comes across that you believe in this. And that's so important, because you're right, it would be disingenuous if you came up there going, okay, guys, so our next lesson today is our
Right.
core focus is now going to be this. So please focus on
Mhm.
that, people.
Right.
Focus. Let
Yeah,
us
focus on the focus and
focus.
move on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to get a poster. You're going to hang it on your wall. And you've seen it. You've seen it resonate throughout the company. I heard it in a meeting we had with Jill earlier this week when we were asking for feedback of some new people that are getting introduced to EOS and some of their first impressions. And people use the words and they use them in the right way. It's become a part of our, it's not just a poster on our walls. It is part of our everyday language and decisions at ADC. And you hear it, even the people who aren't really doing all of EOS yet,
Mm-hmm.
that that it is seeping through the company because we're always always focused on what is our focus and what are our core values. And I think that's really cool to see that, infiltrate throughout the company.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things for better or worse lately, I've really been focused on the resilience core value. It's been a part of my people analyzer, a big piece of it, and I think it's sort of being seen across the company. But that resilience component is such a fundamental aspect. I mean, they all are, but resilience at ADC is like it's a foundational aspect, like a building block of who people are, because, listen, there are challenges every day. And it's amazing to me the people who step up and they're not only like not freaking out over it, but they're like, yeah, we got this. I've had a bunch of changes on my team recently, and I've had so many people rallying, going like, we've got all of this. And also, let's add some more stuff because we
Right.
can do
We
all of
can,
this. And I'm
yeah,
like, I love you all. You're so
yeah.
brilliant, and but it's they're owning it. And it's amazing to see people really just taking this and finding themselves inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really fun. And you know, staff retention is important to every company, of course, but keeping in people engaged, especially in something like what we do. I mean, a lot of the work that we do can be routine for an accounting specialist, and there's a million opportunities out there. So we have to really stand apart as an employer, and it's what I love. It's one of the reasons I get so excited about EOS is because I like structure and it provides a structure, and I like organization. It provides organization. I love goal setting. Um, I love the idea of working at a company that is not stale, that is growing and that never wants to stop growing. And for me, it just gives us ways it's through these little things, through the core value and the core focus and the rock setting and the meetings. It gives you a way to stay so engaged. And every 90 days when we have our 90-day call, and even my teams are saying this, oh man, I feel so energized. I feel so energized after this call, and it's just such a good reset. You celebrate your wins, you look at what you want to do in the next 90 days, and it's just a reset with the team. And I just think it just is such a good way to keep everybody engaged and energized throughout the company. And you feel it, you just feel that energy. I'm using that word a lot, energy, but
I
it
agree with
really,
you. I
yeah,
and energy is so important. It's there's a reason why we say rocket fuel, running on EOS. Those are all
right.
energy fuel powered by, driven
Mhm.
by, people are finding their reasons inside of this, the things that
Right.
motivate them, their passions, all of the
There
things
why, yeah.
that, yeah, they're finding it inside of it, which I just think is so great, and the thing is, and there's another side to this that people don't always put words to, but that are equally important, especially if you're a leader who's looking to run your company on EOS. There are going to be people who don't do that. There are going to be people who are going to come to these meetings and not feel energized. There are going to be people who are not going to find themselves in this. And those people are not a good fit. And that's the thing. And that's so hard to hear, because we're like, it's amazing. And no matter how much we say it, we're still working on being okay with some, 80% is progress and all of these things.
Mhm.
And we're still working on, just like I'm sure other companies are working on, being okay with losing people once in a while. And that's so hard. Or, oh my God,
It
how
is.
about this? Um, Being okay with the feedback that we got in our best workplaces survey for this past year. And you've got 97% engagement, and we're like, what are the 3%?
Well, who are the three?
Yeah.
What are the
What are
three?
they upset about? Why
I
why are
know.
they upset? And
I
it's so
know.
funny. We have to have that gut check and we go, wait a minute, it's okay if 3% of the people are not a good fit. Then
Right.
maybe this isn't the place for them. Maybe they're
Yeah.
not energized because this isn't their mission. Maybe they don't care about doing the right thing. No
Yeah.
offense. It's not a judgment. It's just not your thing. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to say that though.
It is. So that brings us into our right people, right seats.
Yeah.
It, you know, it's one of the hardest parts, I think, but also one of the most beneficial parts to embrace. Because there can be hard situations, um, you know, but there's can be good coming from it too. So we have promoted over 25 people since November due to our work on the accountability chart and right people, right seats. Now, there have also been people who have decided that ADC is not the right company for them. And that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. I love what you said. Like, we can't be crushed by people who decide we want everybody to be happy and we want everybody to be thriving and engaged. And if they don't feel that energy, if they're not aligned, if this isn't the direction they want to go, like we wish them well.
Yeah.
And I hope that they find something that really feeds them because it just all continues to tie together. It goes back to genuinely caring about people. And I genuinely care that people are happy and engaged at work
Yeah. And have
and that they
purpose and
enjoy coming
motivation.
here.
And
Right.
if
And if
that's
they
not
don't,
here, I support.
right.
I'm
Yeah.
I think that's great. I
Yeah.
will cheer for you at wherever is appropriate. But
Yes.
so 25 people, for anybody who's not doing the math quickly, that's more than 10% of our company. That's
Yes. Got promotions.
somebody tell me who just promoted 10% of their company this year.
Yes.
Like,
It's amazing. And we created new seats. We put energy into saying, what is the right seat for everybody. So it was a combination of creating new seats and really digging into that accountability chart and saying what should it look like? What are the seats? Not what seats do we have, not what people do we
right.
have.
What
That was
should we
so
have?
important. What should we have? Pull all the people out, create the seats, then look at who you have, then place people in seats, see where you have holes, and really focusing on, getting people elevated. That's the other thing. Okay, I'm gonna go into delegate and elevate.
I love us. That's where my brain was going. You go right ahead.
Yeah, delegate and elevate. I think another reason so many people got promotions is because we've really dug into delegate and elevate. And when you can't elevate yourself if you're bogged down doing tasks that somebody else can be doing for you. And so if you get very focused on what your role is on the accountability chart and what you should be doing, you really look at what could someone else be doing? When you let go of those things, you let go of the vine, you are allowing someone else the opportunity to elevate themselves. This creates energy. This
And I
creates energy for
And that
people.
is so important to recognize, because I feel like so often people, and I know I'm guilty of it, and I have to remind myself, people get in this mindset of either they don't feel like they want to ask somebody to do something that they are supposed to, that they're currently doing, or for whatever reason, they don't feel that somebody else could do it. I have to constantly remind myself, like, you are not special. People can do this. And you need to trust people. And I mean, it's funny because I don't mean to say it like in a negative way, but I have to remind myself, like, there was a point when I didn't do something either, and then I took it on, but now it's time for me to move that on. And I mean, hello, I've grown. I was the first person, the only person in marketing and sales department 10 years ago. We now have over 10 people here. So
Yeah,
we obviously had to branch out into,
right. Right. You have to trust
yeah,
that.
you have to trust and you have to give people a chance. And you know what the best part is? When you give them the chance and they succeed. I love
Yes,
it.
it's so exciting for them, for you. Like it's so exciting. I
I
have
love
this
nothing more than
visual.
high-fiving constantly.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
Like we're winning.
I have this visual of like old school corporate mentality of like a pile of people climbing on top of each other to get to that one person to get to the top, and everyone else just gets stepped on. But what we're doing and what EOS does is we're not doing that. We're grabbing people on our way up. We're
Yep.
bringing people up with us. And it just is such a different mentality. We have no reason to be competitive or cutthroat in this company. There
Mm-hmm.
is enough room for everyone.
Yep.
So you don't have to backstab or be competitive with each other because there's only one role and it only comes around every 10 years, and
Right.
we don't make people fight for it, fight each other for roles and things like that. There's opportunities for so many people because we want to elevate each other. And so it just
Exactly.
makes for this culture. I hear this a lot with new people coming in the company, this culture of people genuinely caring about each other and genuinely being helpful in nature and wanting to elevate each other. I think it's unique. I hear
Mm-hmm.
it's unique. It's
I
refreshing.
yes.
And I can't imagine working anywhere else now that doesn't have this kind of
Well, we've worked here too
culture.
long to imagine it anyway. So I don't
True.
even know. Like sometimes I get in this real like utopian mindset where I'm like, everybody should just be like this. And I have to remind myself that
Right.
I did not come from a company like this 10 years ago in the city. So
Right.
like, but it's been so long that I'm sort of like, I have to remind myself that we're a little bit like idealistic. Like
Yeah. Right.
people who come in, like having been in the trenches recently are like, who are you crazy people? I remember when
Hmm.
I first started here, even then, and we didn't run on EOS and all that then, but I still was like, these people can't be this nice. This isn't the
Yeah.
world.
We
And
hear that a
now
lot on the
10 years
training
later, I am
team.
that person.
Yeah.
And people like, here I am living in like Wonka land. But what I love is instead of having conversations that maybe are more boxed in, I get to have conversations with my team about like, well, where do you want to go? And where do you see yourself? And what do you love? And what are you motivated by? And it falls to that delegate and elevate conversation, but we really get to kind of chart paths and like what is driving you forward? Like, what do you love? And maybe I can't do it today because everybody has jobs and responsibilities and everything, but maybe that means that the next seat we look to create takes this piece that way and lets them really do these things that they're so
Mhm.
great at. Um,
Right.
it's very opportunity driven and
Mhm.
very sort of passion driven as opposed to just corporate structure, corporate
Mhm.
ladder. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't even like the word corporate. It's like
Right.
so 2010.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Do we even
You
use
know
that
that,
word anymore?
you know what that reminds me of, you saying that is part of Gino Wickman's keynote speech was about living and leading out of love and not fear. And it takes a certain level of confidence. And Bill has said this before, like being confident enough in yourself to hire people who are smarter than you.
Had the
That
same
really
thought. That's
resonated with
Bill.
me.
Bill has said that to me. I've had two leaders, one here and one previous to being here, that have left impactful statements like that. Bill says it all the time, and I really respect him for it because he always says, hire people smarter than you. And
Yeah.
he's like, you
You gotta
will
be
open
you
up
gotta be brave
yourself.
to do
Yeah,
that. You
you
gotta
do.
be
You
confident.
if you're gonna start putting people at the table who are gonna be able to tell you things you didn't know, you need to be ready to hear it. And that is like, that's an individual, like, look inside. Can you hear that? And that took me it took everybody a little while. I have no problem saying that in the first few years, I was like, oh, got to make sure I'm, bringing all this to the table all the time and prove my worth and prove that I should be here. And now, at this stage, I'm like, come join
It's
us.
taken, yeah, it's really
Give
taken
me
some
your,
pressure. It's taken some
share.
pressure off,
Yeah.
right? And it goes to show what a good job that they have done to make us feel secure. in our roles,
Mhm.
that we can delegate things, and bring up other people and not be intimidated by that, or feel threatened by that. And back to making decisions out of fear and not, I mean, out of love and not fear. It goes into not being afraid, that not having that scarcity mindset, that there's not enough for everybody, that if I give something away, or if someone does something better than me, then it makes me look bad, and like I'm not, I don't, I'm going to be insecure, and so it really helps to that. Another thing, like you were saying a minute ago, like really knowing your people. This was another nugget that I got from the EOS conference from one of the speakers, uh, was, you know, we sometimes, I think, in companies we do like get in this pretend world where we don't talk about like that some people may be at your company that have other aspirations and dreams. Maybe they want to start a company one day. Maybe they want to do something. Maybe this is a stepping stone for them. And so being courageous enough to like not ignore that and pretend it doesn't exist, but learn that about your people, right? And acknowledge that, and have the best relationship with the person you can while you're there. Learn and grow from each other and with each other. But know that maybe that one day they're going to move on. And then now this can be such a more healthy relationship. You know where someone's headed. Maybe you help somebody get there. I mean, none of us started at ADC. We've all had career
Yeah.
paths, and to just be part of someone's, Kim Scott talks about this a lot, like just to be part of someone's career is good enough,
Yeah, you don't need
and
we're not winning prom queen here. Like there's this like
right.
misconception, and it's funny, there's that old saying that I just absolutely love where it's like the CFO says to the CEO, he's like, "Well, what if we train all of our people and they leave?" And the CEO goes, "Well, what if we don't and they stay?"
Right.
And
So right,
and
right.
so, it's
Yeah.
like, which one are you doing here? Because sure, you can be super guarded and afraid and not want to like lose anything. But like you're just going to lose in the long run anyway. If you're doing the right thing, if you're truly doing the right thing, that means doing the right thing regardless of the outcome. And to be fair, it
Yeah.
also the outcome needs to be redefined because the outcome doesn't
Mm.
mean that 100% of the people love you and stay forever. That's just weird. People move on for all kinds of reasons. Like people
Right.
love this company but go, "You know what? I don't want to work from home anymore. I need to be in an office around
Mhm.
people." That is okay. I
Yeah.
I applaud you. Like it's good. It's like people act like it's like a weird breakup, like you got dumped. You're fine. Everybody's
Right.
fine. It may
Right.
be the end of this person's season here, and someone else is walking in the door ready to embrace it and love it and grow with
Yes.
you. It's part of your journey. And I think if we're all really being true to this concept of doing the right thing, that includes at every moment, regardless of whether I'm with you for a year, 10 years, or forever. And there's gonna be people who come. I mean, hello, how many people have come back
Hmm.
again?
Yep.
People will work here a couple of years, they'll leave for whatever reason, a year or two, they'll
They
come
come
back
back.
for a couple of
We
years.
welcome them back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Hey,
vibing
what
and
did you
happy to
learn?
see. And you know what?
Yeah.
The entire time I've been friends with them on Facebook, I've watched their kids grow.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's
Yeah.
personal because I care about you. It is not personal because you didn't choose to do everything exactly the way I did. That would just be weird.
Yeah. When you have that mindset too, it makes it, because look, I won't say that it's not painful for me when somebody leaves, especially in my role for staffing, like, because I'm
Yes.
the one juggling the puzzle pieces. So I'm not going to lie and say I don't freak out a little bit or get a little stressed out when someone says they're leaving because logistically I have a problem or I have a personal relationship with somebody and I'm really going to miss them. Of course, those things are there. But when you know that this is just the natural course of business, and you care about the people and their as individuals and what the journey is for their own lives, it just makes it a little easier when it does happen. Like you don't have to be as upset or freaked out. You expect that there's going to be people that are going to come in, they're going to go out. Yeah, so I think the right people rates, that's part of the right people rate seats, but um, just a little bit more on that. It's been an area that has taken a tremendous amount of courage, because when you have the wrong person in a seat, it is uncomfortable. to have to approach a person and say, I don't think this is the right seat for you. But you have to know that it is not, it is in your best interest, it's in the company's best interest, it's in the team's best interest, and ultimately it's in the person's best interest
Yes.
to be in a seat that they are going to be successful in. I don't want one of my team members to come to work every day, feel like they're barely keeping their head above water, that they're, that they're not meeting rocks, they're not being successful, they're not fitting in with the team. That is not what I want for someone's experience here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have made those hard decisions and had to rearrange teams and they weren't easy, but what I've seen is I've seen people thrive, I've seen people leave, and that's happened. But I've also seen when the magic happens of getting the right team members in the seats and not giving up that pursuit, not settling for anything less than the right fit for every single member on that team. And these teams just skyrocket. It's unbelievable. I don't even have, I mean, I barely have to do any managing. Like they just do their own thing.
Yep.
They have their own ideas. They, I come into the L10s, I find out what's going on, I help, tackle obstacles, but I don't have to think about them. So I'm in Texas. We had a natural disaster last week. Suddenly was out of power for 5 days. And, my teams just didn't miss a beat because I was gone. And that is the EOS magic.
Yes.
That is what you are
It's
looking
huge.
for.
And I mean, I hope that we've really sort of expressed the impact that EOS has had at ADC, because none of the things we're sharing right now, I mean, maybe a few years ago, we would have sort of managed to get out some of these thoughts and we would have sort of operated by this because deep down we knew it was the right thing. But I think that it has really just blossomed into this whole thing we're just living in now, where
Mhm.
it's like I can't even think differently
I
than this.
can't either.
I
I
can't
can't
even
either.
process what it would be
No.
like to think other than to care about whether somebody's in the right seat or whether somebody is in this. And it's funny because if you remember a little bit ago, I just said there were two people in my life that had left me with really impactful. One was Bill, was saying you always hire people that are smarter than you. And another guy his name was Tom Bonhack. He passed away. He was the executive director of a company I worked for years and years and years ago. And I remember when he hired me, I was like so green. I like had been a restaurant manager and graduated college, and I desperately needed to get in the door of anywhere that would hire me because I wanted to be in marketing. And I got this job that I was terrible at. I was an executive assistant. It was horrible. I was really bad. But anyway, but this is what he said to me. He goes, Andrea, he goes, the reason I hired you is not because I thought you'd make a great assistant. He goes, I hired you because you hire the right people and then you find where
Oh,
they thrive. And so 6 months later, I was in marketing and I was having the best time. I was a terrible assistant.
you were doing EOS all those years ago. You didn't even
So
know.
I wish he was still alive because obviously this predated
Hmm.
EOS. This
Yeah,
was way before this. But he knew this. He knew that you hired the right people and then you found where they would be the biggest contributors and where they would be the most successful. And it was because of him that I went into marketing and I did all these things and all that stuff. And he just had I walked in the door, he was like, this person needs to work here. I don't know what she's going to do. The first one didn't work out well, but he got it. And I
yeah.
think that now that I have all these words to it and I've like been formally trained in EOS and we know what we're doing and we know why, I know you feel the same way. I just want to tell everybody all the time.
I know.
This is the way
I
to
do
go.
too.
Yeah.
I do too.
So hopefully this will not be our last podcast about EOS at all. I do
Yeah, we've
plan
already
to
killed an
still
hour. We're like, I feel
still
like we've barely
consider this
scratched the surface.
exactly. Still consider this your formal invitation to our podcast in the future. We'd love to have you
Oh, that
share
would be fun.
why it took us 3 days instead of two to do some things. We'll get to that another time. So yeah, we will definitely be back to share more about how we are using EOS here and how we are successful, but hopefully we've given some great insights into the
Yeah.
impact of EOS here. Amy, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, anytime.
And I will see you back soon. Next episode, we're going to be diving into a very meaty topic. sort of in the veins of Right People, Right Seats, but we're actually going to be sharing with everybody the art of firing clients. So what
Ah.
happens when the client is not the right person in the right seat? So stay tuned because we're going to have Dennis Najjar and Abby Jones, two from our leadership team, on to share that with us in our next episode. Amy, thank you. And this has just been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks, Andrea.
Right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.